Hi again, everybody. I'm Donald Newman here at the Columbus School of Chinese in Columbus, Ohio, back with another episode of Ask a Chinese Teacher. On this episode, I want to talk about how to best go about studying Chinese characters. But before I get into that, if you'd like to learn more about what we do here at the Columbus School of Chinese, or how you can take classes with us either online or in person, you can check us out on our website, www.columbusschoolofchinese.com, or you can like our Facebook page where we routinely post studying tips and other interesting resources for learners of Mandarin Chinese. So today we're going to continue talking about Chinese characters. Previously, we've talked about characters as a concept. What kind of writing system does Chinese use? What does each character represent? Etc. How does it differ from an alphabetical system? Today, I want to address another question that students commonly come to me with, which is, how do I best go about learning Chinese characters? And everybody's a little bit different, but I know what has kind of worked for me and has worked for many of our students. I've kind of boiled it down to 3 general tips that I'll share with you today. Tip number 1 is come in with the right mindset. There's a word in Chinese, 心理准备, which means something like preparation in your heart. You want to come at Chinese characters knowing that it's going to be difficult and it's a lifelong process. I come across characters that I might have forgotten or have not learned before, still to this day. And native speakers can as well. It just depends on what you're looking at. You'll want to give yourself a lot of slack and a lot of time to learn characters. I've noticed some students will get frustrated if they come in with the wrong mindset and feel like they can never accomplish the amount of literacy that they had wanted to coming in. It will take time and everybody can do it. Number 2 is do not get ahead of your studies. By this I mean do not learn characters for words that you have not yet learned in a meaningful context. So, for example, when we start beginners out here at the Columbus School of Chinese, we focus a lot on date, time, year, and then we go into a little bit of self-introduction, your name, your nationality. These are the things you're going to want to focus on when you're a beginner. Once you've gained some experience in Chinese, maybe 2-3 years down the line, you'll have the ability to come across new characters, come across a new word for the first time, and kind of have an intuitive notion of how that can fit into a sentence, and you'll be able to plug it in relatively easy. But at the beginning, if you're learning characters for words that you have not developed intuitive understanding of how they're used, or you've not yet learned that word yet to begin with, it makes it doubly hard. And that naturally leads into my last tip, which is try to do your character studying in a meaningful context. And I'll give you a couple of examples of how you can do that. Number 1, if you have Chinese-speaking friends, something like text messaging is perfect. Number 1, you're probably talking about very basic things that you're learning in your first year or so of Chinese. What do you want to do? What are you doing right now? What times are things going to be happening? Second, text messages are great because they're short. They're very digestible, very doable things for someone who maybe hasn't seen a lot of these characters before. And third, you can always ask for help. It's like you have teachers right there on the other side of the line. Another way you can study characters in a meaningful context is through graduated readers. And we've had a lot of experience with the Mandarin Companion series. This is just one such series that limits the amount of characters to a certain number. So here we have a level 2 book. There are only 450 unique characters in this book. They don't use any more. I think their level 1 starts at 300 characters. So this gives you a cap. We're only going to show you 300 characters. And the vast majority of those characters are probably going to be the 300 most seen characters, most used, most meaningful to you. This is not something for your first year. If you've been doing intensive studies, you might want to look into something like these graduated readers in your second or third year. And then they keep going up. There are 600 character ones and so on and so forth. Another one I can think of off the top of my head, if you don't have Chinese friends immediately available, or the books aren't an option for you, going to a Chinese grocery store, even taking pictures of the characters you see there. These are very short signs, maybe they're labels for some of the food. You can take a picture and bring it back home, take your time studying them, or you can just read them as you go. Though you're not having a conversation, you do have a context there, right? You have a sign and you have some kind of situation. Either there's food there, or maybe it's a sign for some wire transferring service, or some kind of Chinese medicine that they're selling, other service, etc., etc. So those are my 3 tips for beginning to study Chinese characters. Again, the number one most important thing to do is to give yourself time. It is a lifelong journey as a learner of Mandarin Chinese to learn characters, even for native speakers. But you'll find the more you know about them, the easier it is to keep learning new ones, and the more interesting it is as you start to make connections about what different things mean. If you have a good strategy that has worked for you, please feel free to let me know. I would love to try it out myself and share it with our students here. But other than that, good luck, and we will see you next time.